So this is learning target number 5. This is problem number 1. And problem number 1 is asking you to estimate the area under the curve for f of x equals x squared from -2 to 2 using four midpoint rectangles. So what you would do is sub in the values from -2 to 2 into f of x. So you would do f of -2 equals -2 squared plus 2. That would give you 6, all the way until 2. So whenever you get these numbers, you would be able to make a graph. So for example, for f of -2 goes all the way up to 6 because that's the value you got. So after you do that for all 4 of them, since there are 4 midpoint rectangles, you're going to use the point in the middle of the rectangle. So since, for instance, this rectangle starts at -2 and ends at -1, you use the value in between, which would be -1.5. So you would sub that in. So then for all of the other rectangles, you would sub in the midpoint value into this equation, but you would also be multiplying the width. So since the width for all of them is 1, you would multiply 1 at the end for all of them. You'd basically do that for every rectangle until you get an area, and then at the end you're going to add all of those, and then you should get 13 units squared. My mistake was not using the midpoint value, so instead I multiplied the actual value instead of the midpoint value here. So instead of -1.5, I had done -2 and the rest of them. But that was my mistake, and the key ideas here are area under the curve and midpoint rectangles.